Hi, good day my crypto friends. I'm here with Ali from Lumeos and we're going to tell you about a new Dapp coming out for EOS. And so we'll get into it, but let's start. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your team and what the big picture for Lumeos is?
Yeah. So my name is Ali. I'm a software engineer. Got most of my engineering experience building distributed systems. I worked at Amazon and Google, and most recently I was a lead engineer for BToken. We built the home sharing platform on top of Ethereum.
Oh yeah, I heard about B.
And then that's where, like, during that time we started thinking of building something on other blockchains like EOS, and decided to focus on the data sharing industry, and that's when Lumeos came to the picture.
Cool, man. What's your background as a developer before, let's say, BToken, or how'd you come into developing?
Yeah. So I mean, when I first graduated, I wanted. I was mostly like building Android applications. I do have an Android application on the store still today with some few users. That got me into programming, and then at Amazon I was working on the ordering pipeline of Amazon. So basically most of the orders that come through can actually touch some of our code that I've actually built. And then it was mostly like distributed systems backend. And then it was something similar at Google. I was working on the Google Cloud team for resource management and I got distributed systems. So
cool. So you got a background. You're a serious engineer. You've been doing this for a while.
Yeah. I got into blockchain when I was still at Google, and it was mostly through investments, and then I realized, hey, there's something over there, and I wanted to learn more about distributed systems and decentralized systems actually. And having a background in distributed systems actually was very helpful in onboarding and writing my first small Hello World Dapp smart contract, and deploying it and seeing it work was what got me into blockchain. And then later on I decided to quit and pursue it as a full-time thing.
So what's big picture Lumeos? What problem you guys trying to solve? What's it going to do for the EOS community, the blockchain community?
Yeah. So the idea is to change the way we do online data sharing in the era of the blockchain. So the paradigm before, when the internet first started, was like people were sharing data freely online, and the more data they shared, the more beneficial it was for everyone else. But then later on, privacy issues started coming into the picture. Like, the data that I'm sharing can be seen by this and that, and I want to have more controls over it. Now, until recently, big companies like, I guess, Google and Facebook started giving users more information about how you can protect your privacy and why privacy is important. But then again, the source of the problem is still the same. Whenever you're sharing any kind of information online today, you are not the owner of the information that you're sharing or the data that you're sharing. It's mostly owned by the companies that you're sharing it with. For instance, Facebook gives you the Facebook application for free, but then you end up sharing a lot of information. None of it is owned by you personally, and it's owned by the company. And that's the current centralized model that is prevalent. And we realize, with the decentralization, you can actually, for the first time, you can own own your stuff or own your data online, similar to how you own your cryptocurrency by holding the private key in a distributed ledger. And the idea was basically, I want to be able to store my data, but still I don't want anyone to have access to it unless I give them the permission to do that. So we just extended the idea further into storing encrypted information by you, the owner of the private key that used to encrypt, and that private key makes you the owner of the actual data that you're putting under your account on a blockchain. We decided we realized actually it was a very difficult thing to do, to store private information on a public ledger and be able to share it with people on chain without anyone having to leak access. And once we nailed down the idea pretty well, we decided to patent it, and it's actually patent pending right now, the system that allows to do all this. So the main solution was, now you actually own your data. Now you can fully control the privacy, and now you can actually say, if somebody accesses my location history, for instance, I want to be able to make money out of it.
Yeah.
So those are the three value principles behind what Lumeos stands for.
Yeah, that's actually a huge idea. It's really cool. I love that's, for me, that's the next step that I'm always talking about that we need in the blockchain is this step towards our protection of our identities first. And then once we have our identities and our information protected, it seems like so many apps will fall in line after that. So it's cool to hear that you guys that's kind of a big vision, is putting that puzzle piece into the ecosystem.
Yeah, so the original idea was for us to build a blockchain that does this, that has this built in, and any application that comes into play would follow the same principles. But then so we started researching existing blockchains to see like who would be able to like support us, and we chose EOS because we chose EOS because of multiple reasons, but one of them was the scalability. We wanted something that will scale immediately to a big number of users and gain mass adoption. And the second thing was the user friendliness of the interface. So if we want to get a blockchain application to be widely adopted, it needs to be very easy to be used. I want to make sure, like, if I forget my password, for instance, I should be able to reset it, just like I do with any of my current applications today. And I don't have to learn something new. I'll just like do the same things I'm doing today, but know for a fact that, okay, my data is clear, my identity is clear, I fully own the privacy. But let's take it a step ahead, and I'm actually making a passive income by doing the same stuff because data is actually valuable.
Yeah, so what's the step there between Lumeos controlling the identity, controlling the data, and then turning it into income? How's that section going?
Yeah, so what we decided to do, we decided to build a mobile application, and the application is very simple. You put in your basic information, gender, location, age, and then you have a password, which is used to encrypt the data. And then what we do is we'll have that kind of data that is encrypted with your password published to the EOS blockchain under your account. We create an account for you and link it to that kind of identity. And now, anytime from the application as well, you start. What you can do today is we wanted to prove the concept of, okay, if actually you answer a poll and provide the poll creator your identity or some piece of your information like gender, they would be able to like anonymously aggregate that data for 1,000, like let's say 1,000 users. We can know like exactly how many males versus how many females answered, but without actually pointing to you specifically. No personally identifiable information being leaked outside of the system. And by doing this, the creator of the poll in order for him to allow you to use it, they need to give you something back for answering that poll. And that's like the main idea. So we want to be able to create a content that is very valuable. Let's say a poll that is answered by 1,000 people, and then we'll have a monetary value on it. And then the users who participated in that poll to make it valuable and who provided their personal information get rewarded whenever that poll gets sold. So that's like one way of making sure that your data is valuable and you make money out of it.
And does it cost money for the person to create the poll?
So the creator of the poll, in order for them to get their poll reached to a big number of users, they need to put a price point on it.
Okay, so they're putting a bounty out basically for people to answer this poll. So the people who are participating in the poll, they're taking their black boxed identity. They're saying, okay, you can verify I'm a man or a woman, and then that's anonymously transmitted, and then they're gonna pull a bounty there that's from the person who did the poll. But then they're also in the future, as that data set is sold, they're going to get a residual from it. Is that how that works, or
Yes.
is there not a residual?
So there's two kind of there are two kind of approaches. One, the creator of the poll will put a bounty on the poll, and then that bounty will basically be given to everyone who participates.
Okay.
Or the second thing is that you participate in a poll with nothing, and then we realize we can actually sell it later for something. And when we do that, we'll give all the profits back to the users who participated in it.
I see. Interesting. So is this polling concept, is that one of your main use cases, or are you just considering that a proof of concept, or how does that fit into the...
Yeah, we wanted to build a proof of concept on top of the idea first to prove that it works, but we wanted something a bit more complex. So just sharing your information, you can easily sell that. There's a lot of like DMPs, or there's a lot of advertisers who will just take that information and give you money for it.
Yeah.
But what would be very useful is the aggregated results usually are a lot more valuable than just like individual results. So we decided to build the polling system so that we can say that the more users who are participated in a certain poll, the more valuable it becomes. But at the same time, we wanted to prove that we can anonymously aggregate data. Of course, it has to be offline and validated offline, and then put it back on the chain without accessing individual data. So we wanted to go with a more complicated approach for selling, for being able to get aggregated results on the blockchain and being able to later on sell it.
That's an interesting idea. So as far as the development, you guys have a beta that's been going, and so there's a lot. You guys are actually using this, and I've seen a demo of it, and I'll probably try to throw a demo up of it in so that people can see the app working too.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a working app. What's been your biggest hurdle, or what's the biggest hurdle or the biggest kind of thought problem that you guys are dealing with, or do you think you kind of have it pretty ironed out? Where are you with that?
Yeah, so as of right now, we're the beta that everybody's been using is mostly a UI features. We wanted to know what the users required, and that's why we've been like asking our beta users to provide us as much feedback as possible. But then the next step is to switch the current data that we're collecting onto the smart contract, onto the blockchain backend, and fully decentralize it. And most of the smart contracts have been developed, and we've been testing them a little bit on testnet. But then we want to make sure that we want to make sure that from day one we've actually built a trust with our user base. And that's one of the reasons we haven't been asking for more detailed information, and we just wanted to start with something simple like date of birth that we can provide as much trust as possible to the users when we actually move away from the beta and into the mainnet in the next month.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point, because being like a data protection company, if you ask for people's data and you launch and there's some bad thing in the smart contract, and all of a sudden all their data gets leaked or something,
yeah.
It's like not a great look. So but obviously that's a huge part of what you guys are doing. Okay. And you said you're launching in September, is that right?
Yeah. So our beta right now is on test flight. So we've sent it to a few hundred users already, playing around with it, and we're trying to pump as much features as possible, get as much feedback as possible from our early beta testers, and we're giving away a lot of Lumeos tokens on the app itself for people who provide feedback, people who like report bugs, and even use the platform as it is. And then we're planning to finalize a few key features like the sign up and login, and private and privacy controls as well before we publish it on the App Store. But our goal is we're 4 weeks ahead, on time. In 4 weeks, hopefully, we'll launch it on the App Store and launch our token as well. And that will be around the time when we can actually go ahead and also run another airdrop for EOS token holders.
Okay. What's your airdrop going to look like? Is it going to be a Genesis snapshot, a current snapshot? Is it going to be one-to-one, or how's that look?
Yeah, so our token supply we have 1 billion tokens, so we're reserving 10% of it for the actual airdrop. And that puts us at the ratio of 1 to 20. We want to make sure to limit the amount that we give, so that we don't want to, like, people who hold a lot of tokens to get a lot more than everybody else. So we're limiting the airdrop to 40,000 EOS. So for every 40,000 EOS that you have, you make 2,000 Lume, even if you have more than that in a certain account. But we're definitely not doing Genesis. We want to make sure to continue. We want to make sure to take a further snapshot, just because EOS have grown a lot since June, and it doesn't make sense for us to just drop it to the people who are here in June. There's a lot more users. There's a lot more diversity in the ecosystem, so it makes sense to reward the later snapshot. We believe we're going to take one snapshot in end of September, and continue talking with our community, and then do the airdrop afterwards.
Yeah, I've liked that concept. I've heard of other projects that are doing the 40,000 cutoff, just to make sure that to give themselves some distribution.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good idea. I think that encourages people who are in that, that have less tokens to not feel like they're completely out of the game when they get these airdrops.
Right. Yes.
And then you also don't have someone who's going to dump 1 million tokens onto everyone holding the tokens when the airdrop happens too. So that's I think that's a great it's a great plan. Is there something that the token holders have to do to receive airdrops, or is it going to be they need to sign up for them at all, or is it?
So we're always mentioning that we're doing a dual kind of airdrop. So we're doing the generic airdrop to the EOS token holders, the one that we just discussed, and that's just everybody will get it. And we're also, anyone who's signing up on our app, at least the first 10,000 users, each one who signs up will get 500 Lumeos tokens just for signing up, and they can make a lot more tokens by using the platform early on. And that's going to be our secondary form of airdrop for people who are actually participating, being part of our network from this early in the game.
Yeah, it's going to be. I mean, that's right around the corner. So it's like 4 weeks. That's cool. How long in the progress have you guys been going?
Yeah, we've been working on this. Since the idea of Lumeos started like earlier this year, but we've been actively developing this app for over 5 months now, and we want to make sure to have the best user experience early on, because we have a lot of people on our wait list and everybody wants to get in right now, but we want to make sure to give them the best experience. So we've been slowly rolling it out, but hopefully we'll open it up for everyone very soon. And I'm very excited about the new features that we're putting into the app. It'll make it so much easy and fun to use.
Yeah. Can you talk about the new features yet, or are those you're gonna hold off until they start coming out?
I'm very excited about one main feature that I'll just discuss, and that is the sign up, where we anybody can just sign in with Facebook and give us access to a little bit of data, and then we'll immediately set up everything for them, give them their EOS account, and give them the extra tokens, and they'll be able to view everything from their from the mobile app.
No kidding. So did you say that set up with Facebook, it'll create an EOS account for them?
Yeah. So you sign up with Facebook or you sign up with Google, and then we'll automatically take the basic data, like your date of birth, gender, location, and school maybe, and we'll immediately, the user has to still provide a password, and then that is going to be used to encrypt it, and then we'll set up an EOS account for them, and we'll immediately give them the tokens, and their data will be there secure.
How do they receive a private and public key for their EOS account?
So their account will be managed by us. So we'll give them the access to the actual key, and then their password will be so their username and ID, and then their password will be kind of used as a way for to protect their private key.
Interesting.
So we want to make it so easy that even if the user doesn't know what a blockchain is, what a private key is, we'll be able to easily use it.
That's that's like the type of on-ramping for the masses. That's really exciting. But the question that jumps into blockchain people's heads obviously is well, what about the private key? So how do you guys have that stored somewhere, but it's secured by their password, or do you guys have that encrypted so you don't know what their private key is, or how's that part?
Yeah, it's everything is going to be encrypted regardless. But there's always two models. There's the more sophisticated users; they can just bring in their own EOS account. They already have the private key. Or the less sophisticated users who want to just easily use an application without having to worry about the details. And for those, we'll have to we will keep track of that for them, and they can, because we are bound to be able to do this mainly from a GDPR perspective. We can always give them back the key and then delete any presence of it anywhere.
Yeah. Well, what an interesting concept. I mean, that's another huge part of your project. I mean, the on-ramping into crypto that's done that easily is that's pretty groundbreaking. It's also what a trade-off that you're looking at also of people have like kind of this level of trust for you to take care of their private key. But if they're not going to get into cryptocurrency anyway, then like they don't have a private key for any of their other stuff. They just can do it with a password. So if they're not sophisticated enough, maybe that's what an interesting. That's fantastic. I actually like that. Cool. Okay. Well, what other new features are coming, or what things have we kind of glossed over that you want to mention about?
We want to make sure that the polls that are on the system actually do have value. So we've been partnering with a few crypto companies that are willing to pay for user research and market research opportunity, as long as they will give a certain survey or poll on our application to all of our user base. So, for instance, we've been working with a newly created exchange that wanted to test their user features or new UI. And what they would do, they would pay us for a poll for the company, and then we will put the money back to the users who participate in the poll. So if we can give them back a result that is answered by 500 to 1,000 users on our platform, they will be willing to pay X amount of dollars that we can always put back to the people who participated in it. To give you rough numbers, today when you use Facebook, for instance, all the behavioral data, all kind of data that you are generating that Facebook owns and they monetize as much as possible is going to be equivalent to, on average, to around $30 a year of extra profits that you would have actually made. For users who actually share a lot more information, that number can go to thousands of dollars, $10,000s of dollars. But what we want to do is to try to make that even higher by creating high value content for our user base who will be able to answer it to make extra tokens through like an active income rather than just less tokens for a passive income.
Yeah, so you have the people who would just use it passively and make a small income, but they have the opportunity also to answer polls and be involved and make a larger income.
Correct, yes.
So at this point, tell people where to find you, kind of what the next steps are if they want to try to get on the white list or request to be like a beta user, or tell people where to find you.
Yeah, I mean the website has everything. We're Lumeos.io. That's Lumeos.io.
Put it in the notes.
And you can sign up on our wait list. We're definitely going to be sending the app to as many people as possible, but we're limiting to how many we're sending because we want to make sure everybody gets it from the app store rather than from the beta, because it's like extra steps to install. But yeah, our Telegram is the best place for discussions. We've been having so many good discussions lately, and t.me/Lumeos. And the website has most of the information.
Okay, cool. So I'll link the website and I'll link your Telegram channel so people get a hold of you, and then if they want a wait list, they can do that.
Yeah.
And thanks for telling us about this project. This is great. I didn't know that much about it. I got to see the beta version, but it was a few weeks ago, so you added a lot to it.
Yeah, it's a lot different now.
Yeah. So and you guys are making moves quick, and it's coming soon. I mean, 4 weeks. So you guys be on the lookout for it. Look into Lumeos, and then we're at Starfish Mission here, the coolest new crypto spot in San Francisco, and it's a great blockchain workspace. And big thanks to them for letting us use the studio. And tonight we got Charlie Lee coming, so we're gonna listen to him talk about some Litecoin. So
money is not the prime asset in life. Time is, and your time is just.